Former Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich has written a new memoir detailing his time as the mayor of Cleveland and his battle involving the city's public electric utility. The Division of Light and Power documents how Kucinich blocked the sale of municipal light to the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company. The decision ultimately led the city into default. There was even an attempt on the young mayor's life, but Kucinich says his fight later saved the city millions of dollars. And the former congressman and two-time candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination joins me now. Mr. Kucinich, nice to see you.
Hi.
So how did Cleveland's political climate influence the events that unfolded involving the municipal electric utility and the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company?
Three things to keep in mind. Number one, Cleveland was the #3 corporate capital city. Number two, Cleveland had a warfare going on between various mob factions and was considered the bombing capital of America. And number three, I was America's youngest mayor at age 31, and it fell to me to have to contend with these interests to try to save our municipal electric system.
Well, I'm wondering, how do you think that what happened in Cleveland all those years ago and the issues that you took a stand on is so important to understanding what's happening in America today? How does it relate?
That's a very important question, and thank you for asking it. When the American Rescue Plan money runs out for cities across the country that are using it as an important infusion, there will be another wave of attempted privatizations, of private interests trying to get a hold of water systems, sewer systems, electric systems, and other city facilities, which will result in people paying more if they're successful and in paying higher taxes. So this story, the Division of Light and Power, is a cautionary tale about the urgency of people standing up for their community, and also it shows them how to fight back, which we did in Cleveland.
And I want to talk a little bit about your history. You come from a large family. You grew up in poverty. You even mentioned how you spent part of your childhood living in a car. How did that influence your decision to really be the type of public servant that you were, and many of those decisions that you made as that young mayor?
Thank you. You know, when you grew up as the oldest of seven, my parents never owned a home. So as the family grew very quickly, we had trouble finding rent. So much so that by the time I was 17, we lived in 21 different places, including a couple cars. There's so many Americans right now who understand that when you're living on the edge day to day and you're scrambling to have a roof over your head, you're having trouble making ends meet, what you pay for utilities means something. And so I remember, as I write in the book, my parents counting pennies to pay utility bills. And when I had to make a decision to save our municipal utility in Cleveland, my thoughts went back to that apartment where my parents were counting the pennies. And there are Americans counting pennies everywhere, trying to make sure they don't pay more for electricity or water or sewer services. And in Cleveland, our Muni Light at the time provided savings of 20% to people on their electric bills as opposed to the private company. So, you know, it matters if people are paying $80 a month or $100 a month. I grew up understanding the value of the pennies, and I grew up remembering where I came from.
I can appreciate that. If anybody listening thinks that that sounds a little bit like a stump speech, I just want to make it really clear that even as we were talking about how at 31 years old you were elected as the youngest mayor in Cleveland's history, 4 decades later, today, you're now running to be the oldest mayor of Cleveland. I want to ask both about your legacy and how you think that that will impact your campaign, and also to ask, you know, when your youngest tenure as mayor there in Cleveland was short-lived. You ran for re-election and you weren't re-elected at that time, in part because of what was happening with this electric power struggle. What makes you think that Cleveland's voters are going to vote you in now?
Well, keep in mind that after I lost the mayor's office in 1979, 15 years later, the people of Cleveland finally realized that I helped save them hundreds of millions of dollars on their electric bills and in taxes because I stood firmly and refused to accept the bank's ultimatum that I sell Muni Light to the private utility in which the bank was a business partner. Now, since that time, the people of Cleveland have given me very strong majorities in races for state Senate and for the United States Congress. I have a constituency in Cleveland because people know that I'm not afraid to stand up, that I can't be bought, that I'm able to take the pressure that other public officials would prefer not to do and cut the deal and be done with it.
Mr. Kucinich, thank you so much for joining. I always appreciate hearing all of your energy.
Thank you very much.